Hey, good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? Hey, we back for another episode 30. So I'm glad to be back in the building. Glad to be back for another episode. And I'm very, very excited about what we have going on today. So hey, just make sure that everybody let you know what me let me know where you're tuning in from. Uh, and we get this thing going. So I'm gonna just do my usual settings, make sure everything is good. Um, and share this. So share this with your people. Write in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Um, and I'm glad that you guys are here. But tonight, man, we have a great show, and I'm truly excited about this show. And I think this topic tonight too is just gonna it's continuing on what I've been talking about over the last few months. But tonight's topic is a very personal one, and I think tonight's topic is going to be one that we all can relate to. So I'm just glad that you guys are here. Share this on your page. Share this to your page. Share this with some friends because I think this dialogue, the conversation tonight, is going to be one that it's going to continue to be what has been on the path that has been on. So I'm so glad that we have it. We're back again tonight. Super excited tonight. We got a lot of things going on. We got some giveaways tonight, some free giveaways tonight. So I'm gonna give away 3 books tonight. 3 books. So 2 of the authors was on last week, Chandra Perry and Shanita Posey. And I wanted to give a shout out to my homegirl, Iantha Houston out of Augusta, Georgia. So I'm gonna be giving away her book. So I'm excited because I support all of them, and I think that their message is not only relevant but needed. But we're gonna go ahead on to get started. So, like I usually do, well, before I get into this, we got some people that's commented. We got Miss Geraldine. She's tuning in from Sawyerville, Alabama. How you doing, Miss Geraldine? Miss Valeda Page Banks, she's tuning in. How you doing? Good evening. Hey, thank you for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. And we got my sister, Portia. She's tuning in with my mom. They're listening. So thank you guys for your continued support. Again, just jump in and let me know where you're tuning in from. And I appreciate that. Feel free to comment. Feel free to be a part of this conversation. But what I want to do is, like I usually do, I want to give a shout out. And this shout out I want to give out is to a person. I do shout outs to people that I personally know who are either entrepreneurs or doing great things. And a few shout outs I want to do tonight. The first one is I want to give a shout out to Erica Ocean. She's over in Junction City, Kansas. And she has her own business, Pink Label Virgin Hair. She has her Facebook page, Pink Label Virgin Hair. Facebook page. You can look her up, and I'll be posting this in the comments later on. Also, she have an Instagram page at Pink Label Virgin Hair altogether, and she's working on her website. But you can go to her web page. Her Facebook page. It got her contact information on her, and also got her email address. So if you want to get your bundles, you want to make sure that you all slayed all the way down to the side. Hey, contact her and let her know, that, we gave you a shout out here on the conversation. All right. And now this is another thing what I wanted to do. I wanted to get into, give a shout out to some few people. One that I want to give a shout out to is my classmate, class of 1998, Eugene Tinker. My man is doing some great things with CTE, entrepreneur, business owner, philanthropist. He's doing a lot of things. So one of the biggest things that he got right now is he developed for COVID. He developed for courthouses and stuff, because I know we got them back at home, but it'll scan your face and give you a reading and scan. So if you want to utilize that, I'm gonna get his information as well and put it in the comments. But I just want to give him a shout out, Eugene Tinker, man. We go way back, our days in Sawyerville, riding bikes, doing all those things together. Okay, so now we got all the pleasantries out the way. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We're on episode 30, you guys. Episode 30. Man, this is crazy. So I'm just truly excited. And I wanted to say this. So over the last few months, man, we just been dealing with topics about forgiveness, unforgiveness, healing. And really, overall, it's been on the subject about being made whole. And I think that this season is a season in which God is trying to get a lot of us to get to a place where we deal with ourselves, that we take the time to deal with ourselves, to identify those things that we have become so comfortable with, but we can identify those things so we can get to the root cause, so that we can walk in the fullness of what we've been created to walk in. So that's why I just wanted to share that, because this subject right here is something that I know for a fact that has impacted a lot of people, and it's impacted them, pretty much a lot of people, for their entire lives. And I wanted to talk about this because I feel that it's necessary. This is not a preaching thing type thing right there. This is just a conversation, because I realize there's a lot of things that we go through in life that, sadly, from the perspective of the church, we haven't had these open dialogues about, that people really talked about it. People shared their vulnerabilities, and people expressed those things that they may have went through. What we've done is, we made this thing almost like superficial, in a way to where when people that are seeking truth, they're seeking ways of doing things, or seeking an answer, it becomes almost as if they were ostracized, because they feel as if there's no way I can measure up to this standard of perfection that is portrayed by those that say that they're believers, because everything that goes on, everybody is, I'm blessed and highly favored and everything is well. No, it's some stuff that we're processing, and it's okay. It is okay, because it's a process. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. So tonight, I want to talk about identifying and overcoming the wounds of unmet expectations. Now, I said it again: identifying and overcoming the wounds of unmet expectations. Now, what do you mean? Now, what you mean by unmet expectations? Man, we all got expectations. What you mean by that? No, what I'm talking about are those things that many of us carry, the disappointment that many of us have carried, the neglect that many of us have carried, the hurt that many of us have carried, the shame that many of us has carried for a long time in our lives, because we are dealing with unmet expectations. And I would just tell you what really inspired me to kind of have this conversation was, I was having a conversation with my big brother, and he shared something with me, and it triggered something in me. And he shared a story about his biological father. My brother was raised by my grandfather in the same town that his father was in. And there wasn't any interaction, in a sense, with his biological father. Now, my brother didn't go without, because my grandfather was a father figure, but he still had a desire. He still had the expectation, like any child should, to have a relationship with this biological parent. And he talked about a time where he went to a funeral of his grandparent, of his grandparents on his biological father's side, and his father was there, but didn't even speak to him. And he talked about how that bothered him, and what that made me think about with my personal things. And this is why I wanted to share this, because we all like to talk as if we go through things, and people go through things, and a lot of us have felt the wounds of the impact of poverty. A lot of us have felt the impact of a lot of different things, and a lot of times how we look at stuff, we look at it as if our external conditions got to be a certain way for we to have wounds from, or be trauma, to have wounds or trauma from something. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because that's not entirely true. Because I grew up in a 2-parent home. I grew up with my mother and my father in the home. My father being a pastor, my mother being the first lady, my mom playing the piano at the church, my father being there every day, my father getting up, going to work. But I still had issues of expectations not being met, because I had an expectation of what I wanted my father to be. And the reality was there are a lot of things he wasn't that. And it wasn't a bad thing. That just wasn't the person that he was. And I share this a lot, but I wanted to share this here because I think there's something that is very, I think is very pertinent to the conversation, but not only pertinent to the conversation, I think it's very necessary to be transparent. For those of you guys that have known my father, for those that haven't, well, I'll speak to those who've known my father. You guys are going to laugh when I say what my expectation was. So as a kid, and I had a right to have it, but as a kid, I wanted a father who was athletic, like would throw the football with me, play basketball with me, throw the baseball with me. We'll play catch and we'll do all of this stuff. And the stuff that I saw on TV, I wanted my dad to be the one to do that with me. Now, to anybody else, that'll be like, that's normal. That's the typical child would want that. But for those that know my father, my daddy was not athletic at all. At all. And this is not a trying to joke on my dad, but for those that knew my father, talking about him, think about this. For those that knew my father, think about my daddy playing basketball with me, or my father throwing the football with me. The funny thing, not the funny thing is, but my desire for that, I got that. I didn't go without that. And this is why I want to talk about how deep this thing is. I didn't go without those things. Those things I didn't go without. I got it from my grandfather, got it from my brother, got it from my uncle. I got all of those things. I did not go without that. I was blessed to have an athletic grandfather who played sports collegiately. And literally, not trying to be funny, but I used to hate playing horse against him, because if you let him shoot from the top of the key, he wasn't missing. So, but I received those things from other sources. So I just want to say that I got what I desired, but I didn't get it from the place where I expected it to come from, and that had a negative impact on me. So what do you mean by that? Because I had to overcome those wounds of the unmet expectations. That didn't mean that I hated my father, but because I didn't get what I was desiring or what my expectation was, it had an impact on me. It did. And it manifested itself in me because I began to subconsciously interpret that as neglect. Because I thought that because I didn't get it from my dad wasn't doing everything he could to give it to me. Instead of me being, as I got older, I began to understand that if he had gave it to me, I'd have been even more frustrated, because that just wasn't who he was. And I bring all that up because I had to process some stuff from me not getting certain things that I expected to receive. And it manifested itself in me in the form of rejection. So my coping mechanism, and this is what God eventually revealed to me, my coping mechanism for dealing with rejection was through promiscuity. So in other words, in order to fill the wound, or to compensate for the wound of the feeling of rejection that I had from not getting unfulfilled expectations from my father, even though my father couldn't give it, even though I didn't go without it, but I didn't get it from the source in which that I was expecting it from, it manifested itself in my life through promiscuity. So I was hey, let me go have sex and let me use that sex, that temporary feeling of sex, to fill that void that I had. And it wasn't until I was 21, almost 22 years old. That's when I began to, because I remember I asked God, I was like, God, why am I the way that I am? I remembered I was stationed at Fort Hood. I was 21 years old, 21, almost 22. And I remember asking God, I was like, God, why am I the way I am? And God was like, you mad at your daddy? And I'm like, man, I ain't mad at my daddy. And I was like, no, but why am I the way I am? And God's like, you mad at your daddy. And the Holy Spirit began to break that down to me and began to allow me to see what my issue was. And it showed me how I was able, how from that wound of unmet expectation, how it impacted my life and the actions and the decision and influenced the decision that I made in attempt to compensate for that. Now, why is that so important? Why do I feel like it's so important to have that conversation tonight? I feel like that it's so important to have that conversation is because a lot of us have made decisions and have done things in our lives for a long period of time that are influenced because we haven't either identified or processed the wounds of us having unmet expectations. And I just wanted to say that. So just think about that. Think about that for a minute. A lot of us haven't even processed it. We haven't even processed it. We haven't even identified. We just been suppressing it. And I made a post yesterday on Facebook, like, and it's so your ability to suppress something does not equal your ability to address something. So you can suppress it and try to compensate for it. But the thing about it, when you suppress something and you try to compensate for a wound, an unaddressed trauma or unaddressed wound, is it would no matter what you do, it would never fulfill. It would never be good enough. You will always operate at a deficit. And that's why I wanted to bring this up and talk about it, because that goes back to what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. And the thing that I love about all of that is the decision is out. Will you be made whole? Will you make the decision to be made whole? And I know this is something that people don't like talking about. You know, this ain't no gossip. This ain't no juicy stuff. You know what I'm saying? This ain't stuff that this is not things that a lot of people really like addressing, because guess what? It forces you to deal with your trauma. You know, I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna read what I posted. The other day. I think it was like yesterday. Let me pull it up. Don't confuse your ability to suppress your trauma with you being over it. You have to face your trauma to overcome it. Now, that is key, because that's why I said identifying and overcoming. So a lot of us know what that trauma is, but we just don't want to deal with it because there's pain associated with it. And I'm not telling you not that pain won't be there. I'm not telling you that at all. But what I'm telling you, what I am encouraging you to do is get the courage to the point to where you're able to face it and begin to process it and overcome it. You can't overcome something that you're not near. I can't overcome an obstacle until I get up to that obstacle. And a lot of these obstacles aren't as big as it may seem. We just have to make sure that we are at a place where, you know what, I'm tired. You know, I know that I really, and that's why I wanted to be transparent tonight, in a way to show how things impact each other, how decisions impact each other, how our choices impact each other. And I feel that it is necessary for us to have these conversations, because guess what? A lot of people deal with stuff. See, a lot of us are dealing with wounds because we feel so unworthy, because we didn't get that validation or that affirmation growing up in the home and an environment that we grew up in. We feel unworthy. We don't feel worthy. We feel we may feel ugly because nobody told us that we were beautiful. Nobody affirmed you when you was little. You grew up in a home where, hey, you just figured out, hey, you should know. And but it impacted you because we had an expectation to receive that, because maybe we saw some stuff, some of our friends, or we saw some stuff we saw on TV, and those are expectations. And when we don't get those, when those expectations aren't met, it leaves us with wounds, invisible wounds. I'm talking about those wounds that stay with us, stay in our hearts, and it impact us, and it silence, and we try to operate and move as best as we know how. But in reality, we are hurting. We are hurting bad. I know my mom said earlier about my dad. She talked about my dad. He was a basketball referee. I do remember my dad calling games at RC Hatch for RC Hatch, but I also remember being at those games with my father, and my father not even, he maybe go 10 feet, 10, 15 feet past a half court and stay either way. That's about as athletic as I saw. Oh yeah, Miss Margaret, thank you for tuning in. She said, good evening. My mom said, we also have expectation of our partners. Now, I was just about to get into that piece. You know, I just wanted to talk from the personal thing. Now I want to get into the relationship thing. So a lot of us take these things, take these issues, take these unmet, the wounds of our unmet expectations from our childhood or from our personal experience, and we bring them into a relationship. And then what we end up doing is we begin to expect our spouse or our significant other to be that, to fulfill that void, and we begin to project unrealistic expectations on them, all because we have chosen not to either take the time. We have chosen to try to suppress as much as possible and not even deal with it or attempt to overcome our trauma. Now, the thing about this is, I want to say this: when we suppress, talking about suppress, that's tiring. That is tiring. That is a very tiring thing when we suppress trauma. And we can talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but a lot of things are manifested themselves in our relationships because we haven't dealt with us. And it's so easy to, and this is how you know. This is how you know. You're easily triggered about stuff. You're easily triggered about things that your partner or significant other may do because you expect them to consider your insecurities, while at the same time, you could really care less about theirs. And you begin to project unrealistic expectations of them. You, for example, if you're in a relationship and you didn't grow up in a home where you grew up in, and you guys grew up in two different environments. And I seen a meme earlier, not earlier, but about a year ago, that says different with somebody that it's different from somebody that grew up in love, in an environment of love, and somebody that grew up in an environment of survival. That's two different beasts because the mentality is different. And a lot of us grew up in homes where they didn't express a lot of love. They didn't express a lot of express how they felt about things. People, you know, and I was talking to a good friend of mine today. We was talking on the phone, and we were just talking about stuff like, you know, our love languages, and, you know, as far as being men and certain expectations, because we all have expectations. Well, I expect this, and we have all of these unrealistic expectations. We go into relationships, and then now we're so frustrated because our expectations aren't getting met, but we never take the fact to address the fact of, is our expectation realistic? And why do I expect that? Why do I expect that? Why do I expect somebody to do this for me? Why? And then what am I willing to give to the other person? And a lot of this goes back to, we haven't identified or overcome the wounds of our expectations. Miss Valeda Page, she said, if we can't communicate, we are already in a bad place. And you know what? I would say this, and I'm glad that you brought that up with communication. A lot of times when we have if we have not taken the time to identify or overcome the wounds of our past or wounds of unmet expectations, we can't communicate because we're trying to hear through the microphone of our past pain. So it doesn't matter. And that's why I talk about unrealistic expectations. For example, a lot of communications is hindered is because you're triggered about some stuff that you've been holding in, you've been suppressing, but you ain't dealt with. So whatever that may even look like it, but look like that again, you jump on it and you attack it, but it's not even that way. For example, somebody speaking to you, hey, somebody said, no, I don't like that. And you grew up in an environment where when you heard no, that was done in a very aggressive manner. So when you hear that no, you assume that that person is being very aggressive to you and you respond like that. And that a person that just said no, they don't have any angle behind it. They just said no. But what happens is this. When they just said no, you respond based off your triggers, but your trigger is tied to you're not dealing with your trauma. You're not dealing with the trauma from your past. But you expect other people to tiptoe and all that. And I'm not saying being abrasive, but you expect them to compensate for you, and that's your expectation. But if they don't compensate for you, now you're upset at them. We have to look at it and be able to identify those things, because guess what? Nobody likes talking about the things that we went through. And I'm not telling you that, when you hear me say trauma, I'm not talking about you are imprisoned by the things that happened to you. No. But there's a lot of stuff that's happened to a lot of us that we need to process so that we can be better, not only for ourselves, but for our kids, for our spouses, in our work environments, with our siblings. We should be carrying around all of this stuff, carrying around all of this mess for years, undealt with mess for years, all because we chose not to deal with it. We shouldn't be willing to destroy our relationship, to destroy families, all because we don't want to deal with trauma. And guess what? If you got some issues in that. If you got some stuff that you just haven't dealt with. And the key is we need to make sure that we deal with it. My man Kevin Lassiter said this conversation is important because hurt people hurt people. That's true. And that's why I said, and I wanted to say this before, because I'm speaking from a place when I was trying to compensate from what I spoke about with my pain or rejection, and because I didn't get I didn't get what I expected to receive from my father, but in actuality, I got everything that I desired, but it didn't come from the source that I was looking for. I had a right to expect it from that source, but because it didn't come from that source, in my mind, I reacted as if I'd never received it. And I was younger at the time, but now I know better. That's why I'm speaking on it now, because that little hurt Robert, through myself trying to compensate for it, I acted out in promiscuity. And there's a lot of things. I could have hurt people. I could have broken some hearts. I could have done a lot of different things. And thank God I didn't have a lot of kids while I was out there. Thank God for that. But think about this. Think about if I went out and got seven, 8 kids out here because I'm trying to compensate for my pain. Now I got all of these kids all around, and there's no way in the world I got all of these kids, and then now I can't be there with them, or you're dealing with father not being in their lives, or this, that, and the third. This is the stuff that I'm talking about, and it has the potential to have generational impact. That's why it's important for us to be able to identify and overcome the wounds of unmet expectations. Listen, a lot of us are dealing with wounds because we come from big families, and you may felt like you're the outcast. A lot of us are dealing with wounds to where we have dealt with so much neglect in a relationship that when we try to move on, we can't even receive a blessing that God done blessed you with somebody else, because you still looking at it through what happened to you before. Somebody, and I don't know who this for, but I just want to bless somebody. I really do want to bless somebody. A lot of us block our blessing because we choose not to heal from the pains of our past. And I made a post about that earlier, but I just want to say that there's a lot of women out there that's saying that there's no good man. But the reason why you keep saying no good man is because when you do get a good one, you expect them to be 1,000. You expect them to be perfect. Your expectation of them is for them to be perfect, because you are looking for a reason that they may hurt you instead of embracing them for who they are. You know, and that leads us to live with unrealistic expectations. We'll begin to manifest into this person that we will judge people off the standard of perfection, while we expect to be judged off the standard of grace. And that's a dangerous place to be in, because now that putting a lot of extra weight, a lot of extra pressure, unrealistic expectation on the people that you're involved with. And not just your spouse, but I'm talking about your children. I'm talking about your coworkers. I'm talking about your friends, your families. We put all of those things and we begin to project all of those things on other people, all because we chose not to identify and overcome the wounds of something that may have happened to us, because we are disappointed because we have not received, or it didn't meet our expectation. And that's dangerous. That's a dangerous place to be. My mother said, and our love language is not always clear to us. So how can we communicate to others? And my mom said this. She said, the hurt that is not addressed becomes baggage. So that's why I love the Bible in Romans 12, when it said, I beseech ye therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. And one version said, which is your reasonable act of service. And be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what I love about the word of God. When we start talking about that, when it said the renewing, that means that ing is a continual thing, that we have to continuously renew our mind. We have to continuously get to the point to where, hey, you know what? Okay, I need to evaluate me. I need to do an inventory of me and find out where I'm at, so that I can have my mind renewed, so that I can grow, so that I can evolve, so that I can go to the next level in my thinking, and not stay stuck in the place where we at. And we stay stuck in the place where we at, and then we mad at everybody else. But it's time for us to deal with it. It's time for us to take up our bed. It's time for us to make the decision to be made whole. But listen, this ain't I know for a fact this is not a topic that's going to get a lot of juice about it. But this is a very, very necessary topic. Very, very necessary topic, because I feel that without a shadow of a doubt, there are a lot of people that are out there that are walking wounded, all because they've been suppressing stuff and they don't know how, or they are so afraid to address those things. And I know, listen, last week we had a dynamic panel on here. Just thank Chandra, Shanita, and Christina for sharing their stories, speaking truth to power, being transparent. And I know for a fact that it was a blessing to a lot of people, because it was a blessing to me. I was just sitting back listening. But everybody's story is not, they don't experience that different level of trauma. Now, and I say level of trauma, but the act of the trauma may be different, but the impact it can be the same. And I say that because, oh, well, I'm good because such and such ain't happened to me. Or I'm good because such and such ain't happened to me. No. What did happen to you may impact you and may still be impacting you, but you choose not to deal with it. You know, a lot of things we got to, why are you so easily offended by stuff, especially when it comes to the people that you're closest with? And have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about how you not dealing with certain things from your past impact your present in a negative way? Have you ever thought about, as a parent, why you're so short-tempered about stuff? Why you, in a sense, just I always have to be your way, especially with your kids? Have you ever thought about the fact that you are reacting that way because that's what you was exposed to growing up? So that's what you became comfortable with. But while you was growing up, you couldn't stand it. and it bothered you on the inside, but because you didn't process it and deal with it, you became what you were so angry about. And guess what that does with your kids? The same thing carry on with your kids. Listen, some things that we got exposed to, some things that happened to us, people did the best they knew how to. But once you grow up and once you learn better, you just have to do better. You have to do better. And, don't have this mindset, oh, well, it worked for me. Well, if it bothers you, then why are you trying to project that on your kids or project it on your spouse or project that on people that you're with? So I just wanted to talk about this subject tonight and have this conversation tonight because I feel that it's so necessary for us to have the ability to identify and identify the wounds of our unmet expectations. Because guess what? We all have them. And especially if you're married, especially with your spouse, especially with your children. You may have an expectation for your child to be or do a certain thing, but what if they don't? What if they don't? What about you dealing with and then you projecting it? A lot of us try to live through our kids and that put pressure on our kids. Now, this is just another thing. Listen, we got to start processing stuff. And be okay with it. So, and I'll just use this as an example. I played football in high school. Pretty decent football player. Made All-State. First team All-State. We first team to go to the state championship, December 97. We didn't end up winning the game, but pretty decent football player. I would have to say, 44 was pretty good out there. I can remember being frustrated a little bit because I wasn't recruited at all. I remember University of West Alabama. The former superintendent of Hale County wanted me to go there because he went there. And I went up to Coach, I think it's Coach Towns up at Alabama A&M. Coach Wagner, shout out to Coach Wagner out of Sunshine. I found out he put in a good word for me, and Coach Towns met with my mom, and they offered me a preferred walk-on. And I remember going up to A&M, and I moved up there that summer, and I was working out at the football facility, and there were some players that was there that was on teams that we beat in the playoffs. I remember Lynette, and Lynette head coach. I remember being in the weight room that summer, and Lynette head coach came in, and he was like, "Hey, you it's like, hey, where you from?" I said, "Hey, I told him who I was, Robert Shepard. I'm from Greensboro." He said, "Great." He was like, "Man, where all them big old boys at?" He said, "Where all them big old boys? They need to be up here playing with us." And I remember that, but that never manifested. It never manifested. Long story short, A&M got a new coach, and they did some stuff that I didn't agree with. So I chose another alternative route, and I went to marching the band, marched the Alabama A&M band the first semester. So I said all that to say I wanted to play football. I thought that I was pretty good. There were some players that we used to beat that we beat. They went on to play at SEC schools. And I could have carried that and try to force my son, because it didn't work out for me, but try to force my son to play football and try to live through my son. Oh yeah, that's my son. Yeah. I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna have him do this, blah blah blah, and push. And guess what? I'm not pushing him because I support him. I'm pushing him because of me. And I'm so thankful that I was able to process that, because guess what? What I realized was it wasn't meant for me to play football. Because if I had played football, I wouldn't eventually be in the military, especially on the timeline that I was in. And because I joined the military, I met some amazing people. I was able to, meet my son, mother, have my son, a lot of different things. My life, I have no regrets in my life. but there was a time that I had to deal with that. I had to come to peace with that. And I'm saying all of that because we can have things that that happen to us that we may be disappointed with, that didn't meet our expectations. And then because we haven't processed it, we can project that on others, especially our kids. And that's why I feel like this type of stuff is so, because think about it, a lot of the stuff, a lot of those things, like and I'm not, this is not a judgmental thing. And Miss Paige Banks, she said we can't push our kids to live our dreams. Listen, that is so important. But the sad truth is, Miss Paige Banks, is if we don't process that stuff, we eventually do it, and we think we're doing what's best for other people. I refuse. I made up my mind that I refuse to be walking wounded. I refuse. I refuse to be walking wounded. I refuse for something. I never liked something having control over me. I can remember, those don't know, when I was in high school, I used to smoke, at the time, it was Swisher Sweets. So, this was before Black and Mild started popping. And I can remember I used to smoke Swisher Sweets. Then when I went up to Alabama A&M, I used to smoke Black and Milds. That was back when Black and Mild was 99 cents a pack. They ain't 99 cents a pack now. But I remember when I used to smoke Black and Mild, and when I started smoking, and when I got to the point to where I felt like I wanted to smoke, that's when I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. I ain't like that. I ain't like nothing like having control over me. That's me personally. Kevin Lassiter said he said we cheat our kids out of childhood when we push them where we want to go. Bruh, listen. And a lot of us, listen, that is so true. And I'm going to address that too. He said, we cheat our kids out of a childhood when we push them to go where we want to go. And a lot of us are suffering from the damage of that by being pushed by our parents. Listen, I'm not saying they did a bad thing, but they were trying to do what they felt was best. You got a lot of women who got pregnant when they was young, maybe got pregnant when they was in high school, and they don't want their daughters or their kids to go through that. So they're like extremely hard on them about that. And they really push their kids to a point to where their kids kind of resent them instead of taking the time to talk about consequences, or understand and having those conversations of what led up to that, so that our kids can be better equipped to make better decisions. Because guess what? The same thing that happened for us, the same thing will happen for our kids. We can tell them all till we blue in the face. Once they get out on their own, they're going to have to make their decisions themselves, and they're going to make it. Chandra, she said, wholeness is everything. And wholeness is everything. Listen, that is why and I know I haven't been able to leave this topic, leave this type of discussion and talk about things else, because I know God has me here for a reason. And I'm just going to be obedient and talk about it, because somebody watching this right now, or somebody that may watch it later, may hear something that will help them get to a point to where they will make the decision to be made whole. Because I will tell you, living from a place of not being whole is tiring, man. It is so tiring. It robs you of you fulfilling your potential. It robs you for you fulfilling your potential. And and you know why I know it's so important? I'm going to tell you why I know it's so important. It brought me to the mind of the story of Joseph. When we read about Joseph in the Bible, Joseph was, we start off and it says Joseph was a dreamer. Joseph was at the time the youngest son, and Joseph, the youngest son of Israel, and Joseph had a dream. He was already a baby boy, and all his older siblings was out in the field working, And Joseph come out, run up at the mouth. I had a dream that all y'all bow down before me and y'all worship me and blase, blase. And his older sibling was already mad because he was the baby. Y'all know how it is. You got a big family, the baby don't do nothing. Everybody else had to clean up the house, and the baby just walk around and looking. But and the Bible talks about how it infuriated Joseph, and Joseph was even cocky to the point to where he told his daddy, and it infuriated his brothers to the point to where they decided that, hey, look, they were going. First of all, they were going to kill him. But a brother spoke up and said, hey, look, don't kill him. It's going to hurt our dad. So they end up selling him into slavery. Now, what I like about all of that, Joseph went into Potiphar's house. Potiphar was a captain in the Egyptian army. And the Bible said Joseph he had the skill of management, government. Like Potiphar put him in charge of his house. House prospered. Talk about Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife wanted him, and she tried to throw herself to Joseph. Joseph like, hey, look, Potiphar told me I had anything in this house except you. So she got mad. So she lied. This sound like a Lifetime, a Lifetime movie channel. But she lied on Joseph. Joseph ended up getting thrown in prison. Now the other thing is, when he got to prison, guess what they did? Because of his skills, they recognized his skills. They put him in charge. They did all of that, and even talk about going on there where it was two prisoners in there that had a dream. It was a baker and a cupbearer. And Joseph interpreted the dream for him. And the dream that Joseph interpreted actually happened. And one of the guys was restored back at the right hand of the servant of the Pharaoh. The other one was killed. He told one, hey, your head gonna get chopped out, other you're gonna be restored back. But this is what was key through that whole story. In that time, Joseph said, hey, when you get restored, don't forget about me. Put in a good word for me to Pharaoh. Said I was the one that interpreted the dream. But right when you go on to read, the Bible said that after he was restored, I think it was the cupbearer. The cupbearer was he forgot about Joseph. And then the Bible said it went to the next chapter, and it said 2 years later. 2 years later, and we're gonna get but it said 2 years later. That's when Pharaoh had a dream, and he was having a dream about it was like fat cows and skinny cows, but he was having a dream about 7 years of a feast and 7 years of famine. 2 years later, that's when the guy that Joseph interpreted a dream for and told him that he was going to be restored remembered Joseph. And what jumped in my mind with all of that, I was like, God, why wouldn't? Because I looked at it from my perspective. If somebody told me I'm about to get off, and whatever they told me came true, oh, I'm gonna speak. Hey, this person over here, I know I ain't gonna forget about him. I'm special for 2 years. But what God told me about it, and later on, God showed me. He said Joseph hadn't processed the pain of being sold by his brothers into slavery, because Joseph had to process that pain in order to fulfill his destiny as being second in charge of Egypt and bringing Egypt to the power that it became. So because God knew that he was going to use Joseph to bring his family into Egypt, but if he didn't process that pain, Joseph would have been elevated to a position of power to have his family killed. That's why Joseph had to wait 2 more years. He had to continue to process so that when his family came, and the Bible even eventually talked about his family coming and how Joseph played with them. He recognized them; they didn't recognize him, and how Joseph did all of that to get them to see his father, his younger, and eventually brought his father and his whole family there to Egypt during the time of famine. Now, why did I say all of that? God is waiting on us. A lot of our purpose, or us walking into our purpose, is pending on us deciding to heal. Because what God is waiting to use a lot of us for, we can't operate in that at a place of brokenness. We got to operate it in a place of being whole. And that 2 years is symbolic of the necessary time needed so that we can go through that process. So that we can start dealing with this stuff, so that we can start identifying and overcoming those wounds or that unmet expectations. Because in the story of Joseph, who would expect that my brothers would sell me into slavery? See, a lot of these things, and I wanted to encourage somebody. I hope somebody is blessed but I wanted to encourage somebody with that, because your destiny is waiting on you to process pain, because your pain was preparation for you to walk into your destiny. Because if Joseph never was sold into slavery, he would have never had the opportunity to operate and understand the Egyptian culture to the point to his reputation preceded him, where he was able to perfect his skill or his gifting of organization, of governance. And he went from a slave to being equivalent to the vice president of the United States, second in charge of Egypt, during the time where the Egyptian culture was the main culture, number one culture. It was elevated to the number one culture, and we still see evidence of the Egyptian culture today. So that was profound. But what is more profound is we get into a place of where we say, you know what? I'm going to deal with my hurt. I'm not going to suppress it anymore. I'm not going to put it down. I'm going to deal with it. I'm tired. And I know Chandra talked about it last week. And hey, we're about to get ready to do some book giveaways. So please tune in. Let some people know. Let them come on in. We're about to do some book giveaways. But she talked about, and I asked, what motivated you to take charge and not be the victim, choose not to be the victim anymore. And she said she got tired of being sick and tired. And I remember Christina talked about she just got tired. She wanted to take control. We should take control, man. And listen, I'm not talking about that when people are dysfunctional and can't live. That is not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about the things of how we think and how, I look at my life and I look at the things where I feel like there are some areas in my life where I'm not where I feel like I should be. And a lot of those areas is not because I couldn't be, but it's because of the decisions that I made. And some of those decisions were made from a place of brokenness, not a place of wholeness. And I'm not talking from a place of like, I got it all together. Lord knows that's not what I'm talking from. I'm talking from a place of understanding that I have areas that I need to improve on. That's why God has been really dealing with me on these type of subjects and just having these level of conversations, because guess what? It has never been about anything else but providing a platform that we can have conversations to deal with subjects that I feel that people aren't really having on a day-to-day basis. So that's why I felt it was necessary to talk about this tonight, because some of it, man, we're carrying wounds, man. We're carrying wounds, and this was a key, and it can relate to the show from last week. Is when whatever state that we have undealt with brokenness or wounds, wherever we are at that moment, we stay as that person in that moment, regardless of how big or old we got. So for example, if I had something happen to me at 6 years old, until I processed that 6-year-old me would stay hitting on the inside. And I would do everything I can to try to protect that 6-year-old, but it wears me out. It wears me out. And that's why I love the Bible when the Bible talks about, will thou be made whole? The choice is yours. You have to make that decision. And God is saying, will you give it to me? Will you trust me? Will you lay it down? And I know my mom, I was talking to my mom earlier today, and I made a post earlier today. And in that post, it says this. It said, if you fail to wait, W-A-I-T, on God, you will feel the W-E-I-G-A of God, the consequences of disobedience. And I say that again. If you fail to wait, W-A-I-T, on God, you will feel the weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, of God in your consequences of disobedience. And And the Bible said, those that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength and waiting, their strength and trusting. When we try to suppress, that's kind of like us carrying, picture yourself walking around, and you don't have to, but you walking around with 500 pounds on your back. And you don't have to carry it, but you're choosing to carry it. And you complaining that your back hurting. The only thing you got to do is put it down, but you don't want to put it down. But then while you got it up, it's hard for you to get up, hard for you to lay down. You can't sleep at night. You don't have any peace. And I just challenge you all to make the decision to lay it down. Lay it at the altar. Because you're tired. I've been there to where you just tired. I'm talking about tired. I ain't talking about, oh, well, I need to go get some sleep. I'm talking about where your soul is tired. Now, I've been there, and that's not a good place where I like. So I just do everything I can to try to stay away from that place. So I appreciate everybody tonight. Make sure you share this with somebody, but it's time for the giveaway. So want to give a shout out to my girls, the three authors, my girl Iantha Houston out of Augusta, Georgia, Chandra Lewis Perry, out of Chesapeake, Virginia, and another person out of Augusta, Georgia, Shanita Posey. So the first book we're going to be giving away tonight, and this is how this is going to happen, right? So whoever wins this, and I'm going to tell y'all how we're going to get to it. But whoever wins this, and it's going to be 3 books. So we got the first book. It is it's from Leigh Madison, the author Leigh Madison, which is Chandra Perry, The Secret Young Girls Keep. That's a book right there. So that's the first book that we have. The second book we're going to give away is Pretty Little Soldier from Shanita Perry. Pretty Little Soldier. Everybody see that one? All right. And the last book we got from Iantha Houston is He Wasn't Either. A Single Woman's Memoirs of Lessons Learned. And that's Iantha. Now I'll be posting all of the links for those who may not win tonight. I'll be posting their links into the comments after the show. There are links to where you can purchase their books, and the link that I have is Amazon. How we're going to do this thing is the 3 winners. What I just ask you to do is just message me your address, and I will order I'm going to purchase the book off Amazon, and I'm gonna send it to your house. Send it to where you at, or whomever you want me to send it to. That is what I'm going to do. And I challenge you guys to just support them, and that support them, and support other people that are doing great things. So with all of that being said, give me 1 second. I'm gonna pour something up, and we're gonna do some things. Since we ended up Black History Month, all right. I'm gonna have a trivia, and this is how we're gonna do this thing. It's a trivia. Hold 1 second. I'm getting it right now. So I'm gonna ask some questions. I'm gonna ask some questions, and what I need people to do is answer those questions. Now, it's gonna be some. The first one that I see pop up is the first one that's gonna win it, right? First one I see pop up, first one gonna win it, and all of these is gonna be Black History Black History themes, and it's not gonna be the norm, kind of like what you expect. So the first one, here we go. The first one we have is, What's the name of the first African-American graduate of West Point? I said it again, first African-American graduate of West Point. The first African-American graduate of West Point. And just put the answer in the comments. The first African-American graduate of West Point. Got anybody? Do we have anybody? The first African-American graduate at West Point. Okay, so shout out to my sister Portia. My sister Portia got it. The first African-American graduate at West Point is Flipper. It is Henry. Sorry. It is Henry Flipper. Henry Flipper. First African-American graduate is Henry Flipper. All right. So Portia, you got that one. I know your address, so don't worry about sending me your address. All right. So the next one. This is the next one. All right. This is the next one. What year was Tuskegee Institution? I'm sorry. What year was Tuskegee University founded? 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 Got anybody? What year was Tuskegee University founded? Portia, you already won one, so all right, this is what we're gonna do. All right, because see, Portia trying to be Portia, right? She's just trying to pay me back because I get on her nerves all the time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to some supporters that support this show. Some of the my supporters that pretty much here every week. I'm going to reach out to them and be a blessing to them and send them those books. We're going to continue to have some giveaways. I'll package it up better for next time. But next week, I would tell you, next week you don't want to miss it. I have a special guest coming on. Real good friend of mine. We spent. I call him my big little brother. But Matthew Miller, Pastor Matthew Miller. We go back to our time. We deployed together in 2003. This is somebody that has had a great impact on my life and my walk with Christ, and encouraged me from a distance. And I appreciate him. I appreciate his spirit. And I appreciate his passion, not only for Christ, but for people. You know, he's doing big things. But next week, I'll be sharing the flyer. We'll be talking from the subject, the process of maturation and the accountability associated with it. So I'll say that again, the process of maturation and the accountability associated with it. So, hey, feel free to tune in next week. 6 o'clock Eastern, next Saturday on the 6th at 6 o'clock Eastern and 5 o'clock Central. I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate the support, and I'll be reaching out to those so that we send you guys books. But thanks for, again, shout out to the special guest last week. I'll be putting in the comments, and I shared it on my page, also the Conversation Facebook page, and I shared it to my personal page. Go check it out. I got their links where if you want to go purchase their books, you can purchase their book. please support them. And again, shout out to my man Eugene Tinker. And I want to give a shout out to all of the fathers out there doing their thing, that are taking care of their families. Hey, I see you out there. I see what you're doing, and I salute you. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's keep raising our families. Let's keep being protectors of our families, and let's keep building our community strong. So you guys have a great and wonderful day. God bless.